Good evening, beautiful people. My name is Pebbles, the Playful Soul, and I would like to welcome you to this edition of Playful Soulmates. This is a series where I speak to people who were instrumental in bringing my first album, Playful Soul, to life. And today we are honored to be graced with the presence of an incredible creative. He has been instrumental in bringing an array of artists' music to life. He's an incredible producer. He works in animation. He's got this project called Polymath that he's working on. We're going to get into all of that. He produced three songs rather, on my album. I would like to introduce you all to Nyambz. How's it, Nyambz?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Chilling like a
Sorry
villain.
for the
So good
sorry
to
for
have
the
you.
fuzzy video. No, it's good. Thank you for having me.
It's only a pleasure. So let's get into it. So Nyambz, you are, well, the way that I know you is as a producer, right? And I think that I only met you after the incredible beats that you had given to artists to write the songs. So let's just go back. And for those who are not familiar with what we're talking about, I released an album called Playful Soul 20 years ago. And on this album, there were some amazing writers, producers, and just a creative team that was absolutely incredible. It was released through a label called Outrageous Records. And there were three songs that Nyambz produced. The one was called All My Life. The other one was called The Way of Want. And the other one was Love Is. And to this day, those are probably the three songs that stick out for people the most. So Nyambz, I want you to just tell the people how it is that you came to be a part of the Outrageous family and the creatives who were working at Outrageous at the time.
Sure. That's a very hard question because I think at the time, like it was like the emergence of like what young Black people could do in the country, like musically. We hadn't had too much exposure, especially with like this, contemporary hip hop, soul, R&B genre of music. We didn't get too much of that. And I think it was just the emergence of what could possibly be. So there was always like a lot of like anticipation and hope about where hip hop could go. You had groups like Squatter Camp that were like breaking barriers. They had a record deal with Gallo at the time. I think it was about 500,000 Rand they had. And that was like an enormous amount of money that, we just couldn't really like fathom. And bubbling under that, there were like labels like Unreleased Records, which had like Cashless Society. Then you had like the whole Outrageous Records collective, that had like the Zabzes, the Proverbs, Optical Illusions, Battle Cat. They had like Expressions, mixtape though, like, they had like the Optical Illusion Maximum Sentence series. There was just so much coming out of there. And like, I remember we'd like take trips to like Norwood, because I think the studio was in Norwood at the time. And It just felt like, like you're going to like some Mecca, just trying to like be part of that energy, be part of that vibe. And I think at the time I was still, I'm still based in Pretoria, but we had also been doing our own things on the underground, and we had taken in fact, no, we hadn't. Like one of the compilations that we had done at the time, I think it was like we had a mixtape called The Anti-Abstract Experiment that had actually gotten out, and I think, somebody from Rage had heard it, and now they were like, hey, they wanted to invite us to now come do work on Maximum Sentence 2. I think that was like the second follow-up Optical Illusion like mixtape. And in that meeting, there was just a lot of like exchanging of like ideas, beats, and things like that. And that's kind of how it happened. And then, juxtaposed against that, Maximum Sentence 2, they were wrapping up Zabz's debut album, Business Digest. And I think they had a sample clearance issue for Superstar at the time, like a single. And I think there was a chance it wasn't going to make the album. I think there was like some sort of like wrangling going on. So they asked for a remix for that as well. So I actually submitted 2 remixes, one done by myself and another by a fellow producer friend of mine called Styles, based in, I think it's Australia at the time. And so that was kind of like the introduction to the relationship with Outrageous Records.
With Outrageous. Okay, that's and so you remixed a track that couldn't get clearance for Zabz's album Listener's Digest. You had already been working with Optical Illusion on their Maximum Sentence 2, did you say?
Yeah, it never saw the what is it saying? The time of day, the light of day. It never ever got completed. But that was like the genesis of that relationship. They ended up going to do working on their debut proper full length offering. What is it? Optical Illusion. They did it. Sure.
You're asking the wrong person if you're asking me. I have Dory brand. I don't even know that.
I think it was the offering. Sorry. I think it was the offering. Yeah.
Offering.
Then, there was, then it just ended up being, I think just things and beats started circulating, and then now it's like Proverb, Zabz, follow-up album, and I think somewhere in that melting pot of things being disseminated, that's how the Playful Soul thing happened.
Okay.
Because I don't think we actually met, and
we hadn't
been in any session, something like that. Yeah, I think we'd met like way after the album.
Way after. It's so incredible though when you think about it, how artists can work on songs and write songs or put out songs and not ever have spoken to the producers. It's crazy when you think about it. Or back then though, you were known as beat makers. How do you feel about that term?
I love it because I feel like it's apt because of the point that you made. So if you look at like what somebody like Zabz would do, Zabz is like phenomenal writer. Like I've always thought that he's somebody that like writes phenomenally. He's somebody that can put together albums, like conceptualize an album and execute it. A lot of people struggle in that, where they have that idea of what an album could be and then like go out and like execute it. But Zabz is like somebody that can envision something and then execute it. So it's like a brilliant artist. So in that regard, I always saw him as a producer. Like I didn't see him in the same light as somebody that just wrote a song, because you have to envision that, okay, I'm right, especially if you're writing for somebody else or writing with somebody else in mind. That is essentially like I think one of the hallmarks of production. And I think that I would attribute the production, to somebody like Zabz, because then he would have pitched the song to you. Like you would have just taken a beat, hence the term beat maker, which is fine. And then he would have evolved that into a song, which is what people would then end up hearing, and I would definitely attribute the production style of things. There are songs that I think I shared with you, recent songs under the Polymath umbrella. So like those are songs where like you're in studio together and you're building together and you're creating together and you're bouncing back ideas. So there, in those instances, then I feel like, I'm wearing my producer hat. Okay. But then if it's just like a beat that I've made in isolation.
Okay. So you do wear many hats. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's a bit of a lag because, like.
Sorry. Internet.
Sorry, I was just saying there's a bit of a lag because Starlink is not yet in the country. They need to pass that law, that policy first. Once they pass that policy that Elon is buying, then maybe our internet will be faster. Who knows? Anyway. That's a story for another day. But you touch on the fact that you wear many hats. Sorry, before we get into that, if there are those of you watching, please feel free to pop something in the comments. We would love to hear any questions that you have, any comments that you have. Feel free to subscribe to my channel if you're watching, or even if you're watching it after the fact. Yeah, just have to get that out there, because we'd really like to make bigger and better things here on this platform. But Nyambz, you said that you wear many hats. The producer hat is one of them. The beat maker hat is one of them. Of those two, I know there are many others, but of those two, which do you vibe with the most?
Yeah, I'd say the producer hat, because if I look at like every other aspect of my life, I feel like a lot of what I get involved with is project based, and I feel like a producer is kind of like a project manager. So like you have this idea and you put it together. You get like you look at like a Quincy Jones. He'll get like a bunch of musicians that he's worked with here. He'll get some songwriters here, and he'll conceptualize that, okay, for Thriller, this is how we want Thriller to sound, and then you'll kind of like put that together. And I think that's kind of like something that has been consistent for me. Like I like putting things together. Like I'm not like a beat maker that wants to be involved in the making of every track. I don't wake up making beats. There was a time when that was the case, but it's not. I don't actually spend too much time on that. I prefer putting together projects. I might hear Pebbles and be like, okay, there's this producer that I love, that I think his sound fits. They can do some great work with and like put that together and facilitate that relationship. There's a song that we did on Proverb's second album, where like, okay, I've got these producer friends in Port Elizabeth, and
my hometown.
And they've got this cool like reggae type of beat. Let's get Jazz Seed from Bonga Muffin. I hit up Proverb and I'm like, I think it'll be great to like get him on this song. And then like he made the call and he made it happen, and it ended up being like coming to be. So I always liked being able to put together a project, take something from here, take something from there, and like see it manifest into something new. The beat making stuff is cool. I think it has its moment. I feel like that is not a big part of my life at the moment. I always feel like it could come back if I'm in the right circumstance. But for the most part, like I don't really spend too much time on that. There was a time when I was younger where that I would be in school, high school, and like I would. My parents lived in Pretoria, so I went to school in the Free State. So like I lived in the hostel. So like every second weekend I would come home for the weekend, and like I would just be looking forward to making beats, because I know that's what I'd spend the whole weekend. They wouldn't even see me. Like it would be like, you're going home, but like they wouldn't see me. I would just be in my room making beats from when I got home in the evening, Friday, to the Sunday morning when I have to catch the bus to get back to school, type of thing. So that sort of time spent on beat making doesn't exist now. Like I'm doing other things.
Life happens. I mean, we're at an age now that it's like, where is the time to be making beats all day, every day? There are kids.
Some people make the time, and I think that's, if it's your passion, you find a way. And I feel like I feel, and I don't feel like it's closed. I think like at some point I will find my way back to it. I think just right now there's other things that are
there's a lot going on. But now, okay, there are a couple of things that I want to touch on that you mentioned just now. You say you prefer producing to just beat making because you can take on the role of a project manager. What projects have you worked on that have really stood out for you? There's one in particular, right, that we were talking about the other day, that I believe it's been sitting there in the bank for like 12 years, if I'm not mistaken, a Nina Simone project. And I'm like,
Yes.
dude, this needs to see the light of day. Please, please, bless us.
And I think that was a special project because I think every time you do something with Zabs, it's like a privilege. Like I do think it's one of those artists that actually gives you so much more than you asked for. And
he was my second Playful Soulmate, by the way.
I did see it. Yeah.
Anybody watching this, go back and watch that episode. It was really cool.
Yeah.
No, he's an incredible.
He's yeah, and even to that point, like, so Mizzy and I produced that album. We
For
made
those
the
who don't know, who is Mizzy?
So Mizzy is like, one of my good friends, and he's like, he also wears many hats. Businessman, former editor of Hype. He produced the majority of Zab's follow-up album. I think one of his biggest songs was Tear Gas had a song called Go Away, which is like, it was like such a huge song at the time in terms of like just the sonic. Like there's nobody that you can compare him with, like musically. Like you can hear a Mizzy beat and it's distinct. It's like his signature. Yeah. And I think that's what a lot of young kids miss these days, that signature sound. Like I think guys are like a lot more creative in terms of like what they can do beat making wise than what we could back in the day. They've got more tools, they've got a lot more talent, I would say. But I think it's just that now I'm sounding like that old bitter type of guy. No, I just think that's signature
back in my day.
Back in my day. I think that signature sound is missing. I think that's where some people have it, but like now, like it's very hard to distinguish who produced what on radio. Like back then, you could be like, you could hear something like that's a Battle Cat beat, that's a Holman beat, that's a whoever it's a Mizzy beat or whatever. You could hear it, and now it's like you hear there's all these great beats, but you can't really say who
it's so and so unless they're saying their name at the beginning of
the tag is in it. Unless Mike Will made it, told you that he made it, it's hard to like be able to do it.
Yeah, no.
But to answer your question, Mizzy is like,
that's who Mizzy is. Sorry, I disturbed you mid. You were still explaining about the Nina Simone project and about how it hasn't yet seen the light of day. I don't understand. You were saying it was a great project. Is it not still a great project that the world needs to be exposed to?
It is. I think it still is. There's obviously bias. I think it is, and it will. I think sometimes.
So tell us about what it is. What is the Nina Simone project?
So, actually, I wasn't really doing too many things musically at that particular time, and I was kind of like doing my IT career at the time, and I remember like Mizzy would be kind of like saying like, let's do this album, and I'm like, no, you can do it. Like I feel you can do it yourself type of thing. And it's like, no, but this concept, like I'm gonna do like this tribute to Nina Simone, but I kind of like need you to do it. And I was like, no, like and there was this one day he came to me after work, but I was playing rugby, like touch rugby, at a club called Harlequins in Pretoria, and he was like, I guess, I don't know if it was one last roll of the dice or whatever. So I was like, look, tell you what, I can commit to like 4 songs. You can do the other four, and then we.
And what was the idea behind it? Like, were you taking
Um,
her music to infuse into the songs,
so
or
that's
like what is the premise of the album?
that's like a very great question, because I don't think I actually even asked too much about that, because I think Mizzy and Zabs were actually having conversations around that time. So I was kind of like the third
wheel.
piece.
They were just like, let's bring this
Yeah.
guy in. He does his thing. Let's just bring him on board.
Yeah.
He'll be great for it.
So yeah, so so it was a tribute and a homage to Nina Simone. I think we are similar in the sense that I think in the days of labeling people conscious rappers and all these type of things, we would probably fall in that bag of things where it's like, as much as things are changing in the world, time is passing, a lot of the fundamental issues that Black people face still exist.
Yeah.
10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, we still kind of face the same sort of problems. And we felt like there's a bit of a responsibility to honor that, because that was something that Nina stood for in her music. She was always like
very much so.
activist
Love her for that.
of what was going on in the world, what issues Black people face, and just people in general. Like on humanity level, we spoke a truth that was unpalatable for people, but it was something that was unapologetic, and that's kind of what we wanted to do with this first one. And it was supposed to be the flagship. It was actually supposed to be the flagship of a series. So after the Nina Simone thing, which was supposed to be finished in 1 month, here we are 12, 13 years later, whatever it is.
It's okay. It's okay. But now tell me.
Mm-hmm.
So it was supposed to be 1 month and it took you 12 years. Is the project finished or not?
It's finished, but there's always that tinkering that people do. It's like, oh yeah, if I just
want to tweak y'all just need to let it out to the world. So, the reason I was asking, because I was gonna say, if it's not finished, I want to be on it. That's the reason I was asking. I'm very selfish, you know me. But
so funny enough, probably somewhere around year 7. We probably spoke about a Pebbles collaboration at some point, like legit, like it was something that, and I think it came again maybe around year 10.
But nobody reached out to me.
I think,
guys,
I don't think anybody had a line to you. Maybe Zabs would have. I don't know, but I didn't have one. I don't
think. Like speed dial. He knows. And
so I don't know. So take it up with him. Take it up with him, because it was something that was tabled. It was 100% tabled, and to the point where we actually even had video concepts with you included at some point as well. So it was really, that's how much this project was unfortunately too much in our heads, and I think we tinkered and tweaked and did too many things and got disoriented, and now
sometimes an idea is it needs to be out at the time that it needs to be out. Maybe there's a reason. Maybe people were not ready. Maybe there are so many maybes. However, the body of work exists, right?
Yeah.
Then you have people who are outside of it who can come in and say, you know what? Let's do this and this and this and this. What do you guys think? Like project managers, you get project managers so
now so we now need the next phase of the project management, the person to be like, hey,
there we go. Yeah. So I'm just going to insert myself there.
There you go. And if any Jewish people are watching, please come do the things. Ready to be
No
exploited.
stereotyping here. Whew, I need a glass of wine. Wait. But it can be Patrice, anybody who has lots of money, like
Anybody that has,
I just want to bring it back for a moment to Playful Soul, right? So you produced rather 3 tracks on the album: All My Life, The Way of Want, and Love Is. And something something that stood out for me was the fact that you use old music, you sample old music, so that you would experiment with sounds, and you would bring something old but make it new and fresh. And of those 3 songs that you produced or beat made, because you have your very clear distinction, which of those 3 resonates with you the most and why? And then I'm going to ask my next question.
Sure. Maybe Way of Want. I think because it's like very
The Way of Want.
It's very like abstract. Like it's not as expected maybe as the other 2. Like I feel like that particular sound, I think when you think about soul and soul, R&B-ish, neo soul, you kind of, the other 2 maybe fit in that, even though it does, it feels like a little bit of an outlier.
Okay.
Just on the basis of its groove, and just like a different sound, different drum pattern. It's like it's not.
What was going through your head when you made that beat?
So I had this this friend of mine, and he's like the most talented musician, creative, and he has this way of like approaching sound that is like very unique. So when you start playing music, playing drums or whatever, you get taught the basics, how to keep time, time signatures, different measures, kick, snare, hi-hat.
I believe so, because I've never studied music, but I believe so.
So you get that, and then once you've mastered that, you can start exploring all the spaces within that. And I feel like he's somebody that like influenced me and brought that level of trying to really just come up with something that's like really unique,
outside of the norm.
Yeah, and so I think that things like that, I feel, are generally attract me. Like I definitely, like if and I think it goes across.
What's your process? Because so do you sit down and be like, okay, today I'm gonna make a beat and I want it to sound like this, or are you? Well, I mean, what programs do you use to even make?
Yeah, so a lot of the times, especially when you sit down to do something, it sometimes takes on a life of its own.
Life of its own, yeah.
And I think that's a nice space to be in when that happens. And I think that's where the beauty of beat making exists
Live.
because you can
And
now.
was that the case? Sorry, I'm sorry for interjecting. Was that the case with The Way of Want? Did it take on a life of its own because you were
so something like that
experimenting?
would have taken a life of its own. Whereas like the other approach sometimes would be to take, because remember, like growing up in the Free State, for example, Harry Smith, a small town called Harry Smith, you didn't really have artists to work with. So the next best thing would be to make like remixes, getting acapellas of like songs. Erica Badu.
I've got a few. I'm going to be sending them your way.
Yeah, so I mean, like, so that was like a good guide to try and like come up with that kind of like harness the production aspect, because now you're building something around something, whereas the beat making thing is kind of like a free for all type of thing where you just express whatever it is. You like sit down and then you just paint whatever happens. So like I would use like at the time I started with a drum machine, digital drum machine called sure, what is it? That's so many years ago. In fact, no, the first thing that I ever used was a modulator. It was called a mod plug. So it was like something that these like techno guys used to use, like in Europe. It was a very techno-centric project. I will program. Like if I could, like, I'll try to find like a picture somewhere and I'll send it to you. Weird looking program, and like the beats would run vertically, like, and if like most digital audio workstations, things kind of like move from left to right. But with those ones, it would just run pages like down, and there was no tempos, and it was no like, it was very strange program to use. And then from then I experimented with a step sequencer. I think it was called Hammer something. So you could basically do drums on that, and you could import some samples in there. And then there was something called it was something called Touareg by a company, I think it was Bram Bros or something like that. It was like a very weird piece of software. I think every then you could just use whatever you could get your hands on, and then sure. I tried Fruity Loops at some point. That's something that I think Bam used to use.
That's the only one of the ones you've mentioned that I even know of. I've never heard of the other ones. So are you the kind of person who likes to like try new programs out and new apps and all of that?
At that time it was more like, what's out there. And then I settled on Acid Pro, which is kind of like what I use to this day.
Okay.
So Acid Pro was probably something from 2000 and so the remix that I spoke about for Superstar Zabs in the beginning. So that producer friend of mine, because we did the two. They ended up sorting out the sample issue, so then they did use Superstar, the original version.
But
they did include one of the remixes on the album. Unfortunately, it wasn't mine. They took the other guys, but he was like one of my favorite producers at the time, and he's the one that used Acid Pro. His name is Styles, so he used Acid Pro.
Okay.
So he used Acid Pro,
but now,
and then that's what I then followed with, and I've been using. I
still use that today.
I used Fruity Loops for house music. So whenever I did like house music or anything dance related, it was easier to like do it on Fruity Loops for me. It was just like it was easier to get into the groove. But then because I didn't really even sample much in Fruity Loops, it was more just playing on the piano roll and everything, putting together. But then if I was doing something hip hop and sample based, it was easier with Acid Pro because you could see the waveforms of the sample and manipulate them easier. But for anything that was like originally non-sampled, I would do on Fruity Loops.
Did you study music?
No. Oh,
okay.
Yeah,
so yourself,
a little bit in high school.
What you like and you know.
Yeah,
Sounds
I
good.
did a
Sonic.
little bit in high school, but not to
Not in
any.
depth. You didn't go to varsity or anything.
Yeah, no graded,
Yeah. So
level.
yeah, kind of. Well, it's more than I did. But I think the height of my production experience is GarageBand. Very,
I've
very
heard
tech,
good things about it. I've
high
heard very
tech
good things about
program
it.
that I produced, I think, 2 songs on. Very, very proud of myself for those. But anyway, I just want to bring it back. Wait, there is a question I want to ask you. So all my life,
Sure.
I was chatting to Apiwe Mame last week, 2 weeks ago in the last episode, and she was telling me that there is an Australian dude, 360 his name is, who has a song that uses the exact same beat as All My Life. And I thought to myself, well, that can't be right. Hey?
So remember I'd mentioned Styles? So yeah, like
Yeah.
I'd done work with Styles. So like Styles is like a producer on that as well. So like you look at Styles stuff, yeah.
So wait.
So
So what does that mean? He shared the beat with the same guy?
So I think I think it was actually because remember we did like I think at the time we were doing a licensing with Zeno and them. So yeah,
it was licensed to more than one person.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
It was not
exclusive. I think back in the day, you'd have like territories and stuff like that.
You never thought that we'd reach an age or an age where music was just like global and like a person would hear a song on YouTube or Spotify and be like, oh wait, that's Pebble Song, and have an argument. No, that's not Pebble Song.
So if you look at it now, you'll find like this. If you look at it now, you'll see that there are people still like have leasing options. Like it's not something that I look to do, but like if you look at producers now, they try and do it now, but it's something that existed like back then as well, like leasing. So they would lease it by territories. And if you look at like the states example, it's like a huge at the time it was like a very huge country, and they'd have different states with different radio stations. It's not like us where we have SABC 1, 2, and 3. That's like the whole country. They would have in Texas, they have like your own ecosystem of radio stations and TV shows and stuff like that. You'd have whatever state. So like leasing was actually quite big back in the day, because then you could actually govern it by territories. Now but like right now everything is so global, like it's not the same sort of like ball game that you'd have.
Absolutely. But now not bringing it back to Playful Soul, you besides music creation, you're also involved in animation. I see, like I've been seeing some stuff online and that. You've got obviously Polymath. Can you tell us a bit about, firstly, Polymath, what that is and what we can expect more of from it?
So yeah, Polymath is something that Mizzy and I have actually been working on for sure.
Don't tell me 12 years.
Probably 12 years. So I was actually with his younger brother Kaya, because Kaya was good at he was more on the visual side. And also Mizzy a little bit on the visual side. So we were thinking that, okay, how do we put together all our different skills and try and like cover the whole just cover the whole spectrum of the creative field. And it's like, okay, we can cover like the animation side of things, we can cover the music side of things, we can cover the visual side of things, videography and stuff like that. So it was excuse me, it was more something to like cater for it was something more to cater for that. We didn't actually get it going, but I think we still had the company registered. And when we spoke about this Nina project and like what, where we're going to put it, it was like, okay, we still have that Polymath vehicle. Let's let's revisit that and let's bring it back to life, and like let's put our projects, our own personal projects, out on that platform.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a platform for not only yourselves. Is it a platform for people that you collaborate with to put their music out on?
Sure.
How is it different? I guess I want to know, from like a Spotify or
well, it's so it would, so we don't, so we always try and stay away from it. So not a platform in that sense, like a digital streaming platform type of thing.
Yeah.
More like, I just didn't want to avoid, I wanted to avoid using the word record label.
Okay. So it's a label. I get you. I hear what you're saying.
Record label, because we don't.
For some of us, we need to, there are boxes. As much as we don't like to fit into boxes, in order to give context to things, sometimes we do need to put things in a box. So you can liken it to a, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so I mean, like you could liken it to a record label. I think for us it was more like the connotation that brings is more like, you are signing artists and stuff like that. And it's like, no, we're not really looking to sign artists per se, but we are looking to collaborate with artists for specific things. So whether it's a specific song or a specific project, but people can do whatever they want in and around that. It's not a binding space where you are now confined to. If you want to do your own thing on the side, you can do that if you want to do. But what we agree we'll do together, we will do together, and it'll come out under the Polymath umbrella.
Polymath banner. So like, okay.
Yeah.
And then whatever royalties come out of it, or publishing comes out of it, is shared by the Polymath team, whoever was involved in it, in creating it. Okay, no, that's cool. I get that. I totally get that. That's what I want to do with my project, Hit Hunters. Story for another day. Yeah. But, okay, so Polymath, I'm going to be sharing a link, beautiful people, with a lot of the people who have been spoken about in today's Playful Soulmates. Can't do it now live because I am manning the desk and I don't want to mess anything up too much, So I will be sharing a Polymath link. I'll be sharing links to Proverb. I'll be sharing links to some of Mizi's work, some of the other work that Nyambz has worked on as well, just so that you're aware. So yeah, don't panic. There's going to be stuff that you get to see after the fact. But now I want to ask you, Nyambz. What was I going to... It just flashed from my head. Oh, my soul.
You're asking about the animation at some point. It looked like...
Yes, animation. And interestingly enough, I used to be an animation producer. Well, still am, but I just haven't really done it actively of late. But for years, I worked in animation production, and I've got a TV series or a series that I want to put out. I'm just trying to find the right creatives. It's likely going to be a bunch of young Black women that do it. But anyway, that's a story for another day. Tell me about your project that you're working on, Mua Kids. Because I saw that and I was like, yay! It's Dora the Explorer meets Coco Melon for Black folk. Yes! Finally!
Yeah. So over the years, we've been doing... When I say we, there's a company called Busy Moon that I've been doing a lot of animations with. So usually in the education space. So like the Department of Higher Education and Training will be looking to promote their scholarships and stuff like that. So like we do animations that they can use in promoting like these scholarships, because they have like partnerships with different countries. And it's like brilliant opportunities for people to go study abroad on somebody else's dime. Like, and I think there's nothing, it's, like that experience of traveling and being able to see how different people do things, and being on your own in a different country, being able to navigate and learn and network is an experience that a lot of people aren't going to always have. And like, you learn so much about not just yourself, but like, different ways of doing things. So with Tebogo, we're looking at finding more ways to like look at content and create content that speaks to
Sorry.
what
You
it
said Tebogo is who? You said the
is.
company that it's under?
Yeah, no. So we collaborate a lot with Busy Moon. So like
Busy
an animation,
Moon.
yeah, it's an animation studio in Pretoria. So we do a lot of collaborations with them. Tebogo is like leading that.
Sorry. When you say we, so Busy Moon is an animation studio. Busy as in Busy Moon, MOON, right?
Yes.
Okay. So they're an animation studio. And when you refer to we, who's we?
So Busy Moon, and if you look at whether it's like Polymath, so we will collaborate and do these, whether it's whatever content pieces that need to be created. So if we're doing animations, if we're doing videography, live action like videography, we'll put.
So Polymath collaborates with Busy Moon, or are you a director of Busy Moon as well?
No. We just collaborate on projects. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. So Boa Kids is like something that speaks to just the representation of Black people in that space, because I don't think there's a lot of, over the years you see a lot of content that comes out that doesn't necessarily speak to
Black African children. Say it. It's very simple.
Essentially.
That is why. Yeah. And I love the fact that. Sorry, just to interject. So Boa Kids, from what I've seen, it's a series of characters. There are a bunch of characters who live in this world of the Boa Kids. There are some who are like, the characters are actual human characters, and there are some that are like shapes and blobs and whatnot. And they have what I love about it is it's so well thought out that each character has got its own things that it stands for and its own traits. A lot like, the Mr. Men, Mr. and Mrs. Men. Sorry, I'm going like off on a tangent. But you know what I mean? The book. So you had Mr. So-and-so and he had these traits, and you had Mrs. So-and-so and she had these traits. So each character has their own traits, and then they're brought together into this world. And it's like, okay, how do they navigate these tasks or these things that they have to do with their own different personalities? But at the end of it, there is a lesson that comes out of it. I think that for me was what stuck out when I saw both the stuff that was on Instagram and the trailer video that you sent me, which again, I'm going to post in the Playful Soulmates playlist. But sorry, I went off on a tangent there.
No, I mean, I think that's brilliant. And I think that even speaks to your question earlier about the Nina Simone project, in the sense that when you put that stuff out, it gets interpreted in a way that is no longer your intention to dictate, and I think that there's a lot of beauty in that, because sometimes when you are close to a project or close to something, you tend not to see how it affects people, what it evokes out of people, so it's good to actually have those experiences where so for example, we did release, which is on the Polymath link that you were going to share. Thank you. We released one single for the Nyambz project, a song called Power. And the feedback that we got from there was tremendous, because people had now dissected the lyrics and, dissected certain aspects of, the beat, whatever, that when you are in that process of tightening things up, you don't actually see, like there's a part where Nyambz breaks down the colors of the flag, the South African flag, and what each color represents. And some user, or some listener that caught the song was like, breaking that down and I was like, what the hell is this guy talking about? Like, I don't know, I didn't remember anything about colors or whatever. I'm listening to like the rhythm of saying things and like what, does it fit the time? What can I do? You are not even focused on you're focused on other details that you miss. You miss so many other things because you're so close to it. And I think when you were giving a breakdown, I think it was good because that is something that the point, when we spoke yesterday with the dry run, it was literally that, like, we spend so much time trying to like refine and perfect things where somebody is actually just gonna like spend 3 seconds on it and be like skip, or spend a lifetime, and it being something that's going to be a part of that person's daily life going on, and that's the impact of like what art can do. It can actually mean nothing to somebody or mean everything to somebody.
Exactly. That's why, sorry to interject. That's why me doing these Playful Soulmate sessions, Playful Soulmates episodes, I'm getting myself confused, the performances and the live streams and all the other Playful Soul things that I'm doing this year. So that's why 20 years later, for me to be doing this, it's not just because it's 20 years and whatnot, but I've had people who have come to me and been like, do you know what that song meant to me all that time ago? And I'm just like, oh, wow, that is absolutely incredible. And I'm just like, all right. So there's something more, like you say, you put so much into something and you think, okay, it is this, but that thing then takes on a life of its own, and it'll mean this to one person, it'll mean something else completely to somebody else, which is going to bring me to my next question. It's not a question, it's actually a game. I like games. I'm a playful soul. So I'm going to play a young game with you. It's a quick fire game called This or That. You're not allowed time to think, right? And I know you're a very pensive, thoughtful person and you like to consider, should it be this beat or that? No. You have to just, first thing that comes into your head of the two things that I mentioned, yeah? Okay, cool. So, analog gear or digital plugins?
Analog. This?
no, you can say the actual thing. Sorry. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Nina or Aretha?
Nina.
Perfect take or perfect vibe?
Perfect
You're thinking.
All right, sorry.
Day session or night session? Day session or night session?
Day.
Finish a beat now or start a new one?
Start a new one.
Okay. All right. Okay, that's the end of that quick fire round. I just want to ask you why. Okay, why analog gear?
It's gonna sound generic and all that, but it's just the warmth. Like it's really it's a different sonic, and I think a lot of people will speak to that. Like they will always say old music sounds different, and playing something on vinyl sounds different, and like there's definitely a truth to that. I mean, if you look at even like recording onto tape, there's like a natural way that the tape compresses and wraps the vocal, so you wouldn't have clipping of vocals like if you project too loud, like in a.
Okay, you may need to explain to people what clipping of vocals is. Asking for other people, not myself.
No, I mean like when your vocal signal passes the threshold and then you lose the whole quality of sound. It just distorts essentially, whereas you don't really have that as much on recording onto tape, for example. There's a way that like it sort of like wraps the vocal, and it's a much warmer feeling. It's a much warmer texture that that you have. The only thing is that the manipulation of tape was difficult. If you kind of had to like one take things, it wasn't.
But there was a beauty in that, no?
Yeah, I mean, like so even then, like exactly, because there's a lot of like perfect imperfections that you hear in songs.
Yes, exactly. Never to be like, and I think that's why, like, so sorry, just to digress. One of my exercise songs that I do my exercise to is Marvin Gaye's "Gotta Give It Up" Part 1, right? And you can like, so at the beginning, you even hear they're talking in the background, and then they go do the counting, dun 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 dun, and you can hear the imperfections in it. But there's just something so beautiful that it's not a perfect take. So when I get into studio now, I want it to sound like pristine, and I want there to be no mistakes, and the engineer will take out the breaths and all of that. No, let it be what it is. There's something to be said for that. Don't know if you agree. Sorry, that was.
It's definitely human. Like it humanizes it. It makes it more relatable. And I think when it humanizes it, makes it more relatable.
Yeah, exactly.
It feels it's a feeling, It feels like somebody It feels like home. It feels like something.
Absolutely. And you say Nina over Aretha, why?
Because I had to pick. And I feel like I feel Nina's more relatable because I think like her songs, to me, I feel like they covered a wide spectrum of feelings. It wasn't, like there's something that Zubs mentioned that was quite funny. I think there was an interview about the project, and he was saying that when it was approached at first, he was like, doesn't she write songs that are dark and morbid or something to that effect? And I think she does have those songs, and she has the contrast of that. She's got very happy, lively songs, and I feel like that spectrum that she covers is very. It encompasses the whole human experience a lot more, and I know that Aretha also has a wide catalog. She also has the gospel side of things. There's like a lot to it. I feel like, to your question earlier on about a beat maker and producer, I feel like Nina's stuff might fall in that beat maker thing where it's like more free to be what it's supposed to be, and irrespective of how it's supposed to be interpreted. Whereas I think Aretha's stuff was more commercially driven, but not in a negative way. Like I think the songs were written to specifically make people feel a way, or whereas Nina was like,
I hear what you're saying. She was like, Nina was a loose cannon. She was just like, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
Y'all like it or you're not gonna like it, but you're gonna like it.
So I think for that reason, like I think I definitely resonate with that.
Cool. And then I found it interesting that you said day session over night session, because a lot of creatives prefer the night time to create because it's quieter. You can get into a zone, as opposed to be because in the day there's a lot happening around you. And I've always thought that as a creative, you are so tuned in to everything that's happening around you that in the day it's harder to tune in and focus than it is at night, because there's less happening. People are sleeping, so you can kind of like, you know what I mean? No?
Probably depends on two things: which hat you're wearing, and then the second thing, what time your day starts. So
what time does your day start?
So my day essentially will start at like 4 a.m. essentially every day, like Monday to Sunday, whatever it is. So
4 o'clock.
By the time,
wait. Why?
I think it's just genetics. I think like my mom also wakes up early. My dad probably used to at some point, but he's now like he's like a late owl, so he'll work into the night and sleep like But growing up, like early birds, so my mom would wake up early, I wake up early, and so the quiet that you're talking about, I get to experience. And I also like, I'm a very outdoors person, so waiting for the just waiting for the sun to be up, or like daybreak, so that I'm out. I'm either running or going on a hike, or so by the time 8 o'clock has come, I've probably done like so many things. I've like finished work, I've finished whatever it is I need to do. I've had a workout, and then somebody's gonna call me at like 8:30 and be like, "Sorry, did I wake you?" And it's like, "No."
You're like, "No, I've had a half a day already." So now the you started that whole 5 a.m. club thing way before it even became a thing, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, it's so actually some of my earliest memories are maybe like 3 years old type of thing, like letting myself out of the house and just going to like be outside, and like I remember hearing the birds and like just enjoying that solitude, enjoying that sunrise, enjoying that experience. So like I think I enjoy the day, I enjoy the sun, and I enjoy being outside.
So you love sunrises. If you wake up
sunrises,
sunsets every day.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah. A lot of beauty.
So
And
cool. Hey?
No, a lot of beauty in that. So it's like it's grounding for me. Like it's grounding.
Do you that's a dumb question, but do you derive a lot of your inspiration from nature?
I don't not necessarily. I think I just appreciate it. Like I appreciate nature. Like I appreciate it in that space. I think I derive inspiration from people that work hard and do great things. So so if you I've got, I don't know if you can see properly, like over my shoulder, that side, sorry, somewhere there. I've got like a thingy of like Mos Def, like Black on Both Sides, probably my favorite hip hop album.
All right.
And I'll have like pieces of art or pieces of or other posters of albums that were like great, just a reminder that to myself that there's hard work that goes into doing that. Like these pieces of art, these pieces of these albums didn't exist unless like there was a lot of sweat equity that went into them. And so like the inspiration would kind of come from that, like hearing something, like hearing Tony Allen play the drums. Like I don't think I've ever been in, in nature where I've been like, oh, let me go and create. It's more like, wow, I'm blessed to be in this creation. Like,
okay, that's interesting. I'm the opposite.
Yeah, so I mean, like that, hearing stuff, like hearing something that like is next level, is the stuff that like makes me wanna like, do something.
Interesting.
Or seeing something good, yeah.
Sure. But now, the other thing that you mentioned in our game was that you like to start a new beat rather than finish one. Is that because you're a master procrastinator and don't like to finish projects, or you're a perfectionist and don't like to finish projects, or you just like the idea of starting new things? Because I know, for example, I love starting stuff. The bane of my life is that I don't finish them. So many projects that I could tell you about started and never finished.
So I think it would be more about the collaborative aspect of it. So a lot of the times it feels like I've done what I can do, and it's missing the artist. So it's finish a beat if the beat doesn't require artist involvement. Then it's like, cool, finish it. Like, but if it's like something that is just an idea, but then it needs a Zab, so it needs a Melimel. Melimel is like one half of another group that I became a part of during lockdown, where he's the MC and I'm the producer. So it's like, send him the idea. So until he does what he does on it, I'm almost done. So I'll be sitting with this beat that I'm stuck with. It's rather this idea. And it's only when I get it back, when he tosses it back to me, that's when like I can finish it. So it was in that context that, okay, it's collaborative. Okay. And also the last conversation that we had, Melimel and I, he was talking about doing, because we did finish an album that is coming out soon. And we were speaking about the next one. And I was telling him that for me, I was watching the bass player. He played an upright bass on, I forgot his name now, on Common's album B, because it was the 20th anniversary, similar to your album, a few weeks ago. And
probably a little bit bigger celebration than mine. It's a little bit.
So the bassist was like talking about being in that session playing and with 10 other players, for example. Like I think he said there were 10 other players in the room. And that's also kind of where I am. And I did express that to Melimel, that I do want to make bigger music. And I wouldn't be able to finish a beat in a sitting because I have ideas. Like the songs now, it's like I need to get a string section on this song. I need to get a, you know, so you can program it, you can, but like sometimes you want that.
You want the real thing. You want, yeah.
So a lot of the stuff is centered around that. Like it's no longer, I don't think I've been in a space where it's like, finish it the same way as before, because I think then it was more out of necessity. Now it's kind of like, no, but why when I can do, I mean, if you look at all those albums, like if you look at the back of a vinyl, like you'd read at the end of it, it'd be like Personnel, and then it'd be like this on, you know, tenor sax, this on guitar, this on guitar, this on, you know, on keys, on organ, on, and I think that's kind of like what I've always wanted to do. And even like with the production stuff, like I've always wanted to like put other work with other producers, bring them on board. Like when DJ Kenzero used to do like his party people gigs, he'd always like, you know, call me up and he'd be like, hey, I'm gonna be with whatever artist is bringing down, you know, do you want to hang out? And I'd be like calling all my producer friends and be like, hey, you know, I'm going to see this person, give me a beat CD, you know, and go give them like all these, because for me it was more like not just about me, but if everybody else if one of us gets on, then we all kind of get on. And I think for me it's just doing the collaboration, being able to make bigger music, have all these pieces that are, because I think that's what digital stuff did as well. It kind of made things smaller. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, because now
made things smaller. How?
Make it smaller in the sense that you can now you go from like a room, like Motown, for example. You have this team full of players that that would be working on all these Motown artists, and now you are now one guy in front of a laptop at Starbucks, which is not a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that I've done that.
Is that where you make your beats, at Starbucks?
But I've seen it. I've literally seen it. Like even like down the road, there's like a Seattle coffee, and there's a guy that has come here with his like 25 key MIDI controller and headphones and his type of thing, and it's cool. Like I think there's room for that. I think if you're in that, if that's where you are, in the space that you are in, like creatively, then great. If that's all you need, then great. I think create what you want to create. I think there was a time when I think Eric Clapton did an album with like a mini, I forgot what it was, but like this mini recorder, and he just did a stripped down album, and it was like, cool. That's where he was in that space where he doesn't need a whole. He's probably done that before, so he's now trying to like, And for me, it's like, okay, I want to do it bigger. So it's like, okay. So yeah, to your question, it's like, okay, in my mind, I can't, it's not finished on my own. I need a lot of the times, like I've got this idea, and because of this idea, it's now created all these other ideas. And then to execute these other ideas, I will. So it's kind of like parked. Not that it's it's like.
But do you go back to them? Because I mean, I know that you creatives, y'all will start something, get really excited about it, put your all into it, and then park it because it's either not the right time, or like you say, you need the right person to be on it to be involved in it in some way.
So I will.
You will what?
And it's not just because I will complete it. And I think the reason is I don't have a lot of material to like. It's not like I'm creating every day that I now have like 100 pieces of. It's now like, okay, I started something in March, and I'm gonna complete it this year. I started another one in August, because I'm not making beats every day, every week, every month. It's like,
so the bulk of your time is, so you do finish them. You don't just park them and leave them. You finish them. And what is the bulk of your day made up doing? And please forgive me for eating my knickknacks, but I do love crispy crack.
Not a problem.
Did you know that, sorry, going off on another tangent, but PepsiCo snacks are actually, because they're global, the level of compliance that they need to adhere to is greater than some of the other snacks that are made in South Africa. Just saying.
I will take it one further and say that they would actually produce the same bag of knickknacks for different markets. And because there's different standards in South Africa, for example, the expiry date that's printed on that bag would be different to if they're sending it to Botswana or Zambia or whatever. So it'll be the same bag.
Same bag of chips here could have a different expiry date in Zambia or Botswana.
Because
later or earlier?
Later, because in South Africa, you guys
because of the compliance.
It's not so much about compliance. You're not really gonna die if like it's not gonna go bad.
They're just not gonna be as crispy.
when your chips start to look a certain way, you're gonna complain, type of thing. Yeah.
Where in the world are you from, Nyambz?
I'm from Zambia, but I did work for PepsiCo for about 7 years.
You worked for PepsiCo? Oh my God. So is this how you have that inside info?
Oh, edit it out before I get excommunicated.
No, it's fine. We can't edit. We're on YouTube. We're live. Anyway.
Yes, I did.
Let's move swiftly along.
No. Yeah. No, so that was like, one of my many stops along the way.
As one has. As one has. And are you married? Do you have kids?
I was. I do have kids, 2 boys, 21 and 16, grown men. I don't even know if they're kids anymore. You pseudo-semi met one briefly as he was going to forage.
He was coming down the stairs to go to the fridge, I'm sure.
Was married once upon a time. 2 boys. Yeah.
Okay. Amazing. But how? Just taking it back to the era of Playful Soul. Like you were saying earlier, there were a bunch of artists and labels that were starting, independent labels, creatives who were doing something that was quite special at the time. And if you were to have a playlist of music that you're playing now, how would it be different from what you were listening to back then?
Sure. It would be different. Less experimental, though. I'd say. I think I ventured more into different genres and sounds more back then. Yeah, so I think it's more
in terms of what you listen to.
In terms of what I listen to and what, because it feels like there's so much more to do. You were asking earlier, like how my day looks like. So you have like these little short pockets of windows where you can actually consume music.
Yeah.
So I think because of that, well, for me, let me say me, I'll almost play it safe and almost listen to what I want to listen to as opposed to explore the way I used to.
I wonder if that's not an age thing though, because I'm the same. I know that like there's, for example, on one Spotify playlist, you get Discover Weekly and New Music Friday. I'm like, I have my playlist that I've set up, and those are the songs that I want to listen to. I'm gonna listen to those, and then maybe once in a blue moon, I'll listen to the Discover Weekly and be like, oh, just discovered a new song. Oh my soul, this is amazing.
Yeah, I think there's that. So, and then also like sometimes, if you're listening on the DSPs, you don't want to like disrupt your algorithm. So I'll actually just have like the two digital streaming platforms. So like my main one will be YouTube Music, and then my secondary one will be Spotify. So I'll explore on Spotify so that like my YouTube algorithm stays intact. But yeah, like I'll also collect. I still collect vinyl for example.
Do you?
Like, yeah.
What was the last vinyl that you purchased, and how much did you purchase it for?
Sure. It was. Let me see. Actually, can I reach it? I can't say how much I purchased them for, but I think I have a couple here. I'll show you some. No, let me get up actually.
Okay, fine. Leave me here on my own, eating my nickname. But guys, if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, you need to now.
The ones that I was looking at now, actually some that people had given me. So these are the last ones that I actually bought. So
what one's that? Land of the Midnight. Aldo
yes, but he's like really nice on the guitar, and then like also Chick Corea is also on here. So I've never heard this before.
But okay, I'll take your word for it that it's pricey.
So I've never seen this before, so I'm assuming it's going to be hot. So I'm looking forward to listening to that.
Okay.
Mix it. So I'll be very quick. And then this would be more sample based because I don't know what the hell this is. But
so when you say it'll be more sample based, you will use this kind of vinyl music for samples that you use?
Yeah, because sometimes you want something that's like, because when people start sampling, a lot of the times we would go for soul music and we'd like look for anything that's got an afro, look for anything that's got a, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then like now it's like, no, let me actually look for something that's a little against the grain. So like there's this one as well that is like
almost.
I don't know, but it's like I was looking at the back, looking at the credits, looking what's on here, what instruments are being played. And I'm like, okay, I might have some cool drum sounds on there.
Okay.
So yeah,
Oh,
this is the
wow.
last one.
Can't
Also,
see it.
it's a little
Oh, it's
bit,
also bongos.
yeah. So I'd be picking this up because it's like, okay, I want to hear some different. Maybe there's some drum sounds that I could use.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some interesting grooves that you can build the beat around, or just for inspiration.
Amazing.
Like
Love
those
that.
are the last ones I bought. That was like $8. That was $8.
See, do you think that
$8.
vinyl is over or is underrated here? Or is it because you know how to use it in a way that most people don't consume vinyls?
I don't think it's overrated. I think it's just popular. Like there's some people that have made it.
As in trendy?
Yeah. And because of that, people are charging things at a premium now because it's like cool.
Yeah.
Now, I don't have a big issue with that per se, but it's like it's a weird one because a lot of the times you're selling a secondhand good, the secondhand vinyl, and even like bookstores, like secondhand bookstores, and I've always like found it weird how you speak to people, and it's like, oh, you're going, you read a lot of books, and like, the person buys, books from their secondhand bookstore, their thrift store, buy vinyls from, your vinyl store, whatever. But the strange thing about it is that for me, is that like you are really cutting out the creative. So like you've got this other whole monetary ecosystem that keeps growing and growing and growing.
Yeah.
But the person is not part of it. It's not, we can complain about, we'll complain about Spotify, how little it's paying people, but then we will glorify somebody that's like me, that's buying these vinyls and things.
For $8
but they're not, yeah, and not even, and nothing of that is going to that artist.
To the artist. That's true. That's interesting. I never thought about it like that. But now, quick one. Did you know? You wouldn't know. So the reason I'm thinking about it is that you're talking about vinyls and how you use them in the beats that you make and the songs that you produce. But did you know that there's a guy that I met recently? I was digitizing my music so that I could upload it to TuneCore. Crazy, I know. But this guy who was digitizing the stuff for me heard All My Life, and he was like, whoa, what is that? And he listened to it and he listened to it again. He was like, yo, can I sample this? And I was like, yeah. Do you know that it's a sample? So it'll be like a sample of a sample. How freaking cool is that?
So I think, but that's kind of Guru from Gangstar. Rest in peace. He had a line
I don't
on.
know who that is. Sorry.
I'm sure you do. He just Guru. He had these Jazzmatazz series back in the day. I'm sure you'll know him like eventually. If you'll hear a song and then you'll.
And I'll be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it'll definitely. There's no way you could have escaped him, type of thing, in some shape or form. He's got a line in one of his songs where he says something like, rapper or not, you can't own no loops. So basically speaking to like the sampling thing, that like we don't own the stuff. Like somebody's gonna hear it and is gonna reinterpret it. And it's like it's part of the circle. And and I think that's very cool that somebody can pick up on an energy, pick up on a frequency.
But how does it make you feel when somebody takes one of your beats and they want to sample it?
I think it's cool. Like I think I've also had like people that have asked for like samples, and like I've given them like, okay, here's the sample, whatever, and they want to like recreate it, or it's something that what do they say? Imitation is the highest form of flattery, or
Absolutely.
So, I think it's cool because I don't know. There's people that school of thought like when art is out, is it still yours once you've given it to the world?
And that is why you guys have held on to that project for 12 years. You don't want it to not be yours anymore. You need to let it breathe. Let it be what it's going to be.
Yeah, it's just people also move on. Like, it's like literally like you also don't know where your place is anymore. Sometimes it'll be like people call you and they'll be like, hey, we're looking for can you help us get into, like, we're looking for radio DJs, and it's like, yo, I don't know anybody in radio anymore, type of thing. It's like
same.
So
I've been struggling to get a freaking radio interview for the past 3 months. Anyway, story for another day. But now you were telling me a story about so something that I've observed about you. Highly, creative in so many different ways. And a lot of creative people that I know are the most hyper people on earth, right? You are the calmest, most chilled, don't drink, don't smoke. You're just like, super chilled. And there was a story that you were telling me about the other day. Please share that story because I think it's hilarious. About Pro, man.
Proverb. So I'll be super quick with it. I'll get into the story, but just to give it a little bit of more context, like my son's computer got hacked about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And like, something just started running scripts, and like it was now like got our like passwords and things like that. And it was like, hacked into like PayPal accounts, LinkedIn, and all these things. And
whoa!
When I was like, I told my son, okay, now please, change your passwords, do this. I'm gonna wipe your machine. I'm gonna reset it. I'm gonna reload it. What? And like, I think a few days later, they still had access to some other platforms. And I had said to my son, was commenting because I had said I'd been looking at the things happening, and I was like, these guys are really good. And my son just like burst out laughing. He's like, Dad, how can you be so calm? Like, how? Yes, like you're almost admiring what these guys have done. And it's like, why aren't you mad? Why aren't you angry? The most you can say is, damn, these guys are really good, type of thing. So I think that's just the demeanor of how you take things, like life happens. And
sure.
I think back in the day, I remember when Proverb drove all the way from Joburg to Pretoria to come and play me one of his might have been the single from the first album. And I think just at the time there was a lot of like an anticipation and excitement in the air. Like it was that era that we were still trying to see what hip hop could be, and there was a lot of excitement. You could be looking forward to people's albums, and Proverb was one of the guys at the pinnacle of it. And
sure. He
literally came to my house with the enthusiasm of like, I'm gonna play this guy's song, and it's gonna blow his socks off, and it's like and and he came and he played me the song, and I could almost feel that he was just surprised that he was.
You weren't jumping on the table going, whoa!
Yeah. And I think for the longest time he probably thought that I didn't like his artistry or anything like that, and it was like, no, it's just like my personality, I guess, is not that inclined to do that, like in moments, and I've attributed it to just not being present, especially back then. Like I was there, but like I was always like thinking about what's happening next. What are we gonna do after this, type of thing. So it robbed me probably of being in that moment of hearing what is in front of me, listening and experiencing that. But yeah.
So is that a lesson, or is that something that you're now working on, being in the moment?
I don't know if it's something that I try to be, but I think it's you kind of know who you are, and that's I'm just aware of it, but it's not something that is because I mean that'll happen. Like
You're not trying
you
to.
hear something great, and it's like, oh, what am I going to add to this song? Like Nyambz is going to send us what he did to the idea of this Nina Simone beat,
Sure.
and I'm already thinking that like a trombone line would sound good at this part. So it's like, and that's why I missed the lyrics of the song, and but I think there's that part where you there's always that hope that I'm gonna come back and one day consume and enjoy the product. Like I will one day have my feet raised and I'll be lying on a couch.
You'll be like, oh, I remember this song from back in the day. This was a beaut. And then your son is like, oh, but Dad, you've listened to this song like 20 times already.
Yeah, and it's like, can we just move on? And but I am trying to be more present because you really aren't promised tomorrow.
This is so true. We've lost so many people along the way.
Yeah, and even this gentleman on my shirt passed away this week, Killer M. He was like one of the best Pretoria rappers that we ever produced, and like he passed away earlier this week. We buried him yesterday, and that's just a reminder that as much as thank you, just a reminder that like you might be preserving things for future to enjoying, and we're really not promised that. Like every day could be our last, every breath could be our last. We don't really know. We are all here on a contract. We don't know when it's going to be.
We're here on borrowed time.
So
we don't know when it's going to be cut short. But I'm so sorry. We've lost so many amazing creatives and human beings along the way. But that is, and as much as we know that is the nature of things, whenever it happens, it's you can't believe that it's happened, and it's hard and it hurts. I totally get it. But we must celebrate the lives of those who came before us, celebrate their music if they were musicians, celebrate their lives, But one thing I did want to ask you, that era. So if we to go back to the era of 2005, the music that was being made then, the squatter camps, the Zabzes, the Pebbleses, the Tumis, all of those cats, the Proverbs. What does that era of music mean to you now? And if there was anybody that you wanted to take your hat off to, who would it be?
Sure. I think it would be everyone. I think it would be such a disservice to single out a singular person, because that era was so hard. It was so hard because there were, especially from a hip hop standpoint.
What was hard about it? Sorry, just to interrupt. What was hard about it? Because for me, coming in as a hook chick or whatever, singer, for me it seemed easy. Maybe a lot of the work had been done or was being done, but why do you say it was difficult?
It was difficult because if you look at now, hip hop culture has kind of been adopted widespread. We were part of an era that you were really ostracized. It's not a news story. It was not.
Wasn't mainstream.
It wasn't mainstream, but on a ground level, on a street level, you were kind of ostracized for listening to hip hop and doing hip hop, and it was like you're really going against the grain. It wasn't. Now pretty much everybody is doing hip hop in some shape or form, whether it's
even I rap now.
I mean, you walk into Woolies and you'll see pajamas with Biggie Smalls lyrics on them. That's literally how Cotton On has just got hip hop culture in their clothing, embedded in their clothing. Everybody has. It was an era where people were really pushing and going against the grain to try and push this dream of the thing that they believed in, and it was a collective movement. I mean, if you look at like things like Lee Club, even when they did like the Black August event, like all these things there was so much excitement and anticipation and community about it. Like, and I think that's probably why it would be hard to single out anybody. Like, I appreciate everybody that I've ever had to work with, that I ever rubbed shoulders with, and but I think that would have been nothing without the community. Like, as much as they might have been competition, and hip hop is a competitive sport, like.
But it was a playful sport. Like, yes, there is competition, but I think that competition just goes to it makes everybody better, wants to up their game. If that makes sense.
It was iron sharpening iron. It wasn't.
It wasn't malicious. It wasn't
malicious at all. You know. So, sure. Yeah, I think guys like that. Unreleased records, I think, was like the label. I think it was a little bit before Outrageous, in the sense that they were about the same time, but it was a little bit before. So they had the old Cashless Society.
Oh, yes.
If I had to single out, that collective was very big for me. I really liked their music. I really liked their sound. Yeah. And even Sparta Camp, their first album, Cut and Join, that was like the second album, like hip hop album I ever bought in the country. I still have it. Thing. And I still have it to this day, type of thing.
Jeez. And, so you're one of those guys that never, when a person comes and says, "Can I borrow this?" You're just like,
nah. No, I actually am. Like, and I think that if you had to ask my ex-wife, she would not be happy about, she would comment about that. There's a lot of things that I would give away, especially if I wasn't using it, if I wasn't enjoying something, even like equipment, music equipment. Like, I gave away so much equipment, like whether it's monitors, turntables, whether it's, if I wasn't using it and somebody else needed it,
you would just be like, here. Well, if you've got any beats that are lying around that you don't need, well, just hoy them, that are not licensed to somebody else in Australia.
When I send it, if I send it, like, then it's probably not going to be finished. So you'd have to like do your part and like,
and then you'll come back. It can't take 12 years to finish, please. Assembly. I don't know. Like you say, tomorrow's not promised. We need to like.
That's a high school thing. That's like. It's like grade 1 to matric. Like, you can have somebody.
Dude, that's a long ass time.
Their whole school journey with all the emotions, all the fights, all the without the album.
Yeah, imagine. But now look, I can't actually believe that the time is 2038. I'm like still like.
My son's gonna kill me because he was like, "Dad, can we go to gym at like 22:08?" And I was like, "No, I'm gonna be busy."
Sorry. Okay, let's then in that case just be like. I've also got to go cook supper. So your son's mad at you. I've got to go cook supper. You see all these grown-up things that people have to do. Oh my word! But before you go, firstly, where can we find you on socials? And if we want to see more of the work that you're doing?
Sure. I'm terrible on socials. I will respond. But
you're on Instagram.
Yeah. So it's just at Nyambino, Nyambino.
Okay, cool. So then
I actually had like Nyambz at Instagram once upon a time. But then I was like, what is this Instagram thing? And I deleted it, and then somebody took it later. So then it's like gone.
So Nyambino on Instagram, and I guess if anybody wants to get a hold of you, they'll find you there.
Yes.
And if you're looking for an incredible producer, beat maker,
I will point you to one.
Hey?
I will direct them to one.
You can't be telling us this now.
No, I'm just saying that unless they're prepared to wait.
Unless they're prepared to wait. Good things take time, So they must wait. But Nyambz, thank you so much for being such an incredible soulmate. Before you go, though, I would like you to leave a pebble toss. So you know how you toss a pebble into a stream and it ripples and changes everything.
A pebble toss, and it changes everything. I've actually got one here.
No, you're not allowed to read it.
Can I not read it?
It's got to come from.
I wrote it.
No, it must come. Oh, you wrote it down because it was an inspirational moment that you had.
I wrote it because it's like I have intentions for myself, and every morning this is one of them. So,
wow, I love that. So when you wake up at 4, you set intentions, you do affirmations. You're one of those guys.
Yes. So
love that.
My son will do that in the evening. And
wow.
So I'll be very quick. Here it is. There's so many though, which is a
Take your
good
time.
One. This is a good one to give. Okay, this is the one that I like quite a bit. Help me become someone that success can trust. Because I think sometimes, I think it's self-explanatory. So
that's a beautiful pebble toss. Thank you. That's so beautiful. Who's in the picture behind you to your right? Who's in that picture?
That one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's like little me. It's
little you.
Yeah.
Drawn by whom?
My mom knows it's me. My dad is like, "Who is that?" But, I've got the picture. So yeah, so I liked it because like somebody sent it to me, and it's like a picture of me outside church. I think I was about 6 years old, and sometimes your life crossroads. There's a crossroads where you can either go left or right. And whenever I look at that picture, it's a reminder. It almost feels like it's a point where I wouldn't have made that choice. So it's just a reminder that, you can always...
You were so young, though. Is that a pic? That's not a photograph, though. That's a sketch, right?
Yeah.
Of a photograph. Yeah, but that was you were very young to have been at that crossroads.
Sure, but it's just a reminder to myself that... because I look at it and I see the potential. Like I can see like what could this person have been? What could this person have aspired to be? And it's just a reminder for me to be like, it's not like, I love looking at a picture of myself. It's just like a reminder to myself that, hey, choose the right path.
Love that. Love that. On that note, I am gonna call it because we've been chatting for a while, an hour and 43 minutes, and I still have to make supper. Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
These grown-up things.
I'm sorry.
And you've been awake since 4 o'clock. Like, how are you not wanting to pass out now? Still wanting to go to the gym?
Yeah. No,
so
sometimes
much for 8 hours of sleep.
That's never been a thing for me. So
no, I don't believe that it's necessary, but anyway, that's just me. But Nyambz, I really want to thank you for being such an amazing soulmate. Thank you for the music that you have shared with me. Thank you for the music that you have shared with the world, and for the music that is yet to come, and all the other amazing projects that you're working on. Boa Kids, Polymath, all of these things. Wish you all of the best.
Thank you.
And I want to see the Nina Simone project out, please. Nina Simone project out. And I'm going to send you some acapellas so that we can make music again, because, it's been a while, 20 years.
Please do.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And to those of you who... Awesome. And to those of you who are watching live or watching this after the fact, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe to my channel, like it if you liked it, and tune in 2 weeks' time when I'm going to be chatting to... Not going to tell you now. You're going to have to tune in and see who it's going to be. But yeah, you must have an amazing rest of your week. I've got a gig on Saturday. I'm so excited for it. It's at Youngblood Africa in Cape Town on Bree Street. So excited. Anyway, if you can make it, come through. Early bird tickets finish tonight at midnight, so you'll probably have to pay a premium, but that's fine. You won't mind. It's going to be worth it. In the meantime, thank you for tuning in to Playful Soulmates. One album, many playmates, countless stories. Good night.